morning, good afternoon. I'm Raquel Redmond from Brava Art Press, and I'm here to present a tutorial on collage. Collage is working with paper and gluing and cutting, but this is a very special collage. This is about Eric Carle. Eric Carle writes books for children like you, and he also illustrates his stories. Illustrating means that he writes a small story and then he creates pictures to go with the story. This is a picture of Eric Carle here. This is how he looks. He's sitting there with a little caterpillar on his shoulder because his most popular book is called The Very Hungry Caterpillar. You probably read it already. And this is some examples of Eric Carle's pictures. Collage, because he creates collage. He works with paper. He cuts paper and he glues the paper on another piece of paper. But before he cuts the paper, he paints the paper. So that's the picture of the very hungry caterpillar there. And we have another one here of a landscape with some mountains and a beautiful bright sun. And do you notice that there's a little bird here? And also the fact that he leaves all the white space, so he just cuts his papers, glue them, and leave a background in white. Background means what is behind of the picture. There's another one here about a flower, a beautiful big flower with a butterfly. And again, if you pay attention there to the background, it's white. And another picture here of a cat sitting on a sofa. He has used some gray papers here and some orange paper to create this collage of a cat lying down on the sofa. And there we have a picture of a blue horse, a big blue horse. And look at the many blues, different blues that Eric Carle has used to create this collage of a blue horse. And if you see it again, if you notice, the background is white. This is the time to talk about paper and how Eric Carle prepares his papers. He paints his papers and decorates his paper. Here we have a little sample of Eric Carle paper. These papers, they are little bits of paper here that Eric Carle sent to me in 1998 when I did a project based on his work, on his books, for the Out of the Box Festival. So another bit here. So as you can see, Eric Carle paints this brown paper, probably to use on the trunk of the trees, or the cat, a brown cat. He paints the greens to create the green grasses or to create plants. And very colorful paper here, probably for the flowers. So Eric Carle sets out to paint paper. One day he will paint all the yellows that he needs for the flowers, for the fields, for the sun. Another day he will probably paint all the greens he needs for the green grasses, for the plants, for the trees, for a green horse, probably. And another day, he will probably come to his studio and paint all the reds that he will need for flowers, for strawberries, for apples. Now that we know what Eric Carle does and how he prepares his papers, I'd like to introduce you to the idea how to prepare our own papers. It's very simple. We have a piece of paper here, which is just photocopy paper, white paper, and a piece of newspaper. It's very important that we use the paper and the newspaper together. So when you finish painting, you will carry that out to be dry or to let it dry to the sun. Here I got some papers that I have painted. Blue for the skies, blue for the ocean, brown for the trees, brown for the cat, or brown for the bears, with little flicks like that. Probably the fur of the bear. Black for the cat or for a black horse with scratched textures and orange spots. Pink for the flowers. Green for the grasses. And yellow for the sun. So, next segment we are going to learn how to paint and decorate these papers. So this is how we paint the papers. We have a stack of paper here already. It's the white photocopy paper, the newspaper, another white bit of paper and more newspaper, all ready to go. So we are going to start painting. To paint, we are going to use a paint that is really good for this kind of collage project. It's called Chroma Kits. I got a bottle here. It's very, very thick and a battery. It gives you a nice color and texture. But there is also another paint that I have here. Is the Chroma 2 paint, which is in these big bottles that you can also use. So either paint will be good for this project. I also have some tools that we're going to need. I got a piece of card, some roll-up cardboard. I called it a comb to scratch the textures. I got a rubber. Rubbers are very good to scratch texture. And a paddle pop stick, all here in my toolbox. I also have other things here that I'm going to need for this project. I got a paintbrush this size, a paintbrush this size. So if you are very young, if you are a kindergarten student, you could probably use this because this paintbrush will paint really quickly. I also have a small paintbrush for the small details, for dots and little lines if you want to do. I got a plastic fork. I got a toothbrush. So all of these things I'm going to use when I paint and decorate the paper. Because we're using big paintbrushes, we have to use some plastic container big enough to for you to put the brush in, to be able to put the brush in and pick up the paint. We have this one. These are food containers. They are takeaway food. I think it's called takeaway food containers. And we have another size here, which is another one there. And the good things of these containers is that they all have lids. So you can just put the lid back and keep it until the next project. So we're going to start by applying paint all over the piece of paper, like this. Thick application of paint. This, by the way, is this one here. This is called Chroma Kits, and it's, as you can see, it's thick and paints really well, beautiful colors. I'm going to show you in a minute what I'm doing. So there is red. Now we're going to scratch some textures on this red. I'll use the comb, and then I'm going to go and scratch lots of textures there on this red. And it's going to look like that. But apart from the textures, I like to put some other colors. So I like to do some dots with a small paintbrush in yellow, some dotty paper here, probably for a flower or for the roof of the house. If you are doing a house, you have to think, what would you like to do? Would you like to do a big cat or a landscape with mountains and trees? Or would you like to do an apple tree or a cat lying on a sofa? So they are all things that you have to think of. What would you like to do? What would your picture going to be about? The idea is that you create your own pictures. So I got all these dots and it looks like that. Let's do another one. Let's do it with a big paintbrush now. we have this big paintbrush, and you will see how fast it works. This is for if you are a kindergarten or even a 2 years old can do this. As long as you can hold a paintbrush on your hand, you can do this project. When we did this project in 1998 for the Out of the Box Festival, we had children. We had 7,000 children coming, and we have children from 1.5 years old to 8 years old. So it's, as I said, if you can hold a paintbrush on your hand, you can do it. So we have the blue painted all over like that. Now we are going to do different things. I'm going to use that. This is just to create different marks. And I'm just pressing and rolling, pressing and twisting, press, twist, press, twist, press, twist, like that, to create some probably color for the sky. Later on, when we use it could be the sky. And also, then using the fork, this is how it looks so far. Oops. This is how it looks. So with a lovely textures there with the fork. This is a plastic fork. All of these materials your mom or your teacher can find very easily because plastic forks are everywhere. This is just a cardboard roll up like that with a bit of a sticky tape there, found anywhere. Cardboard for the comb, not a problem. You find from many different boxes. The rubbers are also around the school. And keep going with my textures making here. I'm making this a little bit more complex because if you are 8 years old or 9 years old or 10 years old that you would like to work in a way to make more complex things, you can use that. There you are. We have the blue. And I can still add a bit more if I use the paddle pop stick here and pick up the paint, the white paint, and I'm going to add a bit of white in those circles. Just a bit of white. And that is how this one looks. I'd like to show you another possibility. We start the same, painting the color all over, like that. This is very easy. Everything involving this technique is really easy. I created this project, I translated it from Eric Carle's technique to this technique that is very appropriate for young children like you. So we have the paper painted all over like that, and then using this food container and a bit of kitchen cloth, or it could be any other cloth. In that container, we are going to prepare to print. So this is the paint that I'm going to use to print. So I'll just put that a bit there and spread it around with this paintbrush like that until the paint is flat like that. Like that. Then using some different tools that I have created, just using a bit of bubble wrap with a little bit of tied around, I'm going to try to print these bubble wrap textures. So I'll go like that. like that. I'll show you in a minute, like that. On the paper, on the paint. And I have another tool here, which is just a plastic wrap tied up with plastic rubber or rubber bands. That's it. And I'm going to do a similar thing to print. So there is the possibility of printing. It's not getting the effect that I like. It's more sort of not as good as that, so we will try this one. This again is roll-up cardboard, corrugated cardboard. So I'm going to print like that in there. Cardboard like that. And I'm also going to print on the side by rolling like that. This is only if you are in grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, because for very young children, if you are too young, it's probably going to be a bit difficult for you. But I'll show you another trick for very young children. Just printing some lines that I'll show you in a minute. So it will look like that. There is the printed piece of paper. Now this technique is for very young children. All the little children that we have 2 years old and 1.5 years old at the festival enjoy this technique. Just applying, paint, big paint there, painting all over with a big paintbrush like that. And then, if you're allowed to do this at home or in the classroom, you use your fingers. So you create all these wonderful, incredibly fabulous textures by moving your fingers like that. And you create that with your fingers. It's good to have a rag at hand if you're working with fingers. So you can just wipe your fingers like that quickly so there is no mess. And to this finger paint or finger painting, you can use other things on the top, like bottle caps, and just twist it and push to the side to create some other things, more marks, because it's all about, at this stage, it's all about painting and making marks with objects, making marks with your fingers. It's really, really fun. And when you have done all of this, when all the paper is nicely done, decorated and scratched and obviously painted, we are going to let it dry. And it will take probably 24 hours or overnight to dry. If you are in a classroom situation, you would probably be able to use it the following week if you have another art session the following week. One thing that I have to, probably your teachers should know, and you should know too, that when you paint like this, you are creating the paper. You are preparing your papers as a group of classroom students. And when the paper is nice and dry, the paper is going to be shared by everybody in the classroom. So you are creating what I call the paper bank. Your teacher will have the paper bank, and she or he will give you some paper put on the table for people to share, because it's about to share. Art is about to share. We are going to share paint, we share the tools, we share the paint brushes, and in this case we are going to share the paper for the next session, collage. Now it's time to talk about how to organize all of these materials and equipment that your teacher will need in the classroom or your mama or dad will need at home. So we talked about the paper, just copy paper, newspaper, ready to go. So when the students finish painting and decorating, the paper will be taken out to the sun or to the wet area to dry, and then your teacher will give you another set of copy paper and newspaper, because every student in the classroom has to paint 4 pieces minimum. So you have a good paper bank, a good amount of colors to work your collage. Now it's time to clean up. We finished painting and decorating the paper, and it's time now to take all of these messy bits and pieces that we have on the table and wash the paintbrushes in the bucket, all of the paintbrushes, the equipment, everything goes to the buckets there to be washed. This paint can be saved for the next project. You just put a lid on. Your teacher will do that. A lid on, and also these containers here. The lid on, and they are perfect. They will be perfect, and they will last. They will last for about months. Now that all the papers are ready, painted and decorated, we shall go and do another video, a video on how to do the actual collage, how to cut the paper, how to cut the shapes, how to glue, and the way that Eric Carle does. If you would like more information on this video, just click below this video to link up with the website, Brava Art Press website. And if you like the video, please subscribe.